And we are live for round 3, the final round, just in time to see Skranky in the Twitch chat saying, let's all stop pretending we want Danny to win and tell the truth. Go Komodo, right? It's like where, what is it in Cool Runnings, where like the guy who was previously rooting against Wolf Blitzer, right? All of a sudden he like reveals his shirt, like, go Jamaica, right? That's the truth, right? Humanity never intended to put all their chips on me, and I wouldn't be surprised if you just root for Komodo so we can move on. But I'm not going down without a fight. I understand that those of you who've been with me all day and were here at 10 a.m. weren't thrilled with my performance. Hikaru Nakamura also watched the show live and ridiculed me, i.e., I would say belittled me on Skype, as only Hikaru can do. After my Queen H4 blunder. So it wasn't the best chess, right? We made it an hour show with some analysis, but obviously that's what happens when you play computer engines. You make one mistake and it's literally over, right? So that was a lesson learned, and I'm gonna, it's easy to say like I don't want to blunder, but you never know. So anyway, the game has started. The show has started, and the show must go on. There's really nothing else that matters besides putting it all on the line and doing my best right here, right now, in this match versus Komodo. So here we go. I've got a queenside pawn majority in this one. I think probably the least, it's probably the smallest advantage I've had in any of the games, being an exchange up as black and the f7 pawn in last game. So that would stand to reason that this should be the worst game of all, but I don't think that's going to be true. I'm gonna really fight hard. I've thought about this position a little bit and said, well, you know what? I need to expand a pawn majority on the queen side. That is where my majority lies, but I'm going to start that with a center pawn and d4, mainly because I think if I play c4, he might strike with e5, and I don't want to deal with any kind of dark square imbalance. It's kind of a risky move when you're missing these pawns in terms of what white might be able to do, bringing a knight here and into here. But I decided that d4 is going to be my move anyway. All right, so he plays bishop to b7. It makes sense, and I'm going to expand with c4. For me, it seems that getting a queenside pawn majority, as I said, is kind of a top priority for me. Given that that's where my structural advantage lies. So, let's see. Someone's the comments. I'm just checking in. Both chats seem to be all right. Technical stuff seems to be going well. So, that's good. Broadcast is live. So, My thinking is that a solid center in this one with a plan to expand on the queen side as aggressively but safely as I can is the best approach here. The chances will be tough. Daghour asks, how do you plan to win this one? I saw you some months ago not being able to win up a rook. Well, first of all, thanks for that. Second of all, I did lose one up a rook, but I think I'm like 9-1. I think I've only lost one up a rook, and I've also won up only a minor piece against Komodo, and I've also drawn up only the f-pawn. That's probably my best performance to date, was drawing Komodo down f-pawn. So again, chess is chess. That's like saying if somebody's ever lost a chess game, why should they ever play again? Daghour's attitude seems to be, I bet he's a real sweet guy to be around, right? Not condescending to people at all. And definitely probably has never made any mistakes in his life ever. So that's good that we have premium members like Daghour just holding the fort down. What else do we got? What else we got in the Twitch chat besides Daghour's comment? We've got, blimey, how is Komodo Chess not world champion? Exactly. Komodo Chess is rated way too high for human beings. This is beyond parental advisory stickers, right? This is like, enter at your own risk, right? Where angels fear to tread. So playing Komodo is fun and tough, but yeah, well, Komodo is kind of world champion for computers, right? I mean, and there's also Stockfish. They're both right there. I think it goes back and forth pretty much between those two. But Hello, I am Kyle. Says, hey, Danny, longtime lurker. When are you going to make a push for GM? At this point, it might be next lifetime. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I fantasize about the prospect of being able to focus on that, but I love what I do for Chess.com too much. And then when you have a family and you have a job, that it's like something has to give. That's the reality of our lives. Unfortunately, I can't go do the time commitment and travel Europe and do that. So, I don't know. Skranky's talking in some sort of weird thing, saying I promised a Komodo emote. The Komodo emote's coming, dude. Why don't you stop complaining? I feel like I need to talk to you like I talk to my 11-year-old. Can you be grateful for what you have instead of always thinking about what you don't have? Whoa. Okay, this was not a part of my thinking that would happen. Oh, man. Oh, you Komodo. Okay. So what are we going to do here? Okay, so obviously if I capture e5, we have queen a5 check, knight to c3, and then he can take back on e5 with the queen. So this is kind of a key point here. Other ways to play would be moves like knight f3. Invite him to give up the bishop pair if he wants to take here. Knight f3, and if he takes, I could take with the knight, and I've got a strong centralized knight, and he's got this isolated d-pawn. If knight f3, e4, that's what I would get worried about, at least at first. Knight to d2. Is there some sort of e3 sack? I capture. He plays queen h4 check. I play g3, and things are getting nutty, right? Queen goes back to e7. My rook is trapped, and he's hitting e3. But I can play knight f3. Let's look at that again. So knight f3, e4, knight d2, e3, f takes e3, queen a5, queen h4 check, g3, queen to e4 or f6 or e7. I think on all of them I bring my knight back to f3, blocking the diagonal. I'm not as worried about playing knight f3, e4, knight d2 if he doesn't have some sort of crazy sack, because I can play e3, and then that'll kind of solidify my pawn chain here, right? And then I've got some pawns coming at you, right? That might be all right. I mean, d5 is certainly possible, and it's not an argument that white isn't better, but that's what these advantages are, right? Obviously, we know my position is better now because that's material odds. It's the only way I have a chance. But is it really improving the advantage? I feel like I'm hesitant to play d5 naturally for the reasons of d6 and a5. And suddenly, if he's holding these dark squares, it feels like a slow position where my majority can't advance that fast. Now, against any human being, I would play any one of those moves pretty decently quickly without too much thought, knowing I still have an edge that I can outplay them later on. I don't know what I want, honestly. I don't know what I want. I definitely don't want to take e5. And maybe I'm wrong to be so dismissive of that, but I just feel like taking e5, queen a5 check, knight c3, queen takes e5. I don't know, it just didn't appeal to me. Especially because if I play knight f3, he can take it, and I don't want to have to take with the g-pawn. I'm back to looking at knight f3, because I do like the idea of him taking on d4 and me getting to take back with the knight. I do like that idea. So if knight f3, e4, knight to d2, is there something immediately problematic? That's the question. Bishop e4, e3. e3 takes. What if he plays knight f6 there? Play knight to c3. It's a lot of pawns to have given up for black. So I'm going to go for this. I don't buy this e4, e3 idea. It seems like a little bit far-fetched for me to be worried about that, playing a little bit faster than I did in last game. I took a lot of time to start last game, which wasn't a bad thing because I was committing to this idea of knight takes d5. The problem was, we talked about my Kaidanov psychological mistake, right? I changed my approach mid-variation, a very important and harsh reminder to lose to Komodo so quickly. So, let's see how knight to f3 is handled. Let's see how knight to f3 is handled. Checking in on the Twitch chat again first. I don't want to chase the queen, make the pick, because again, knight f3 doesn't actually chase the queen. I'm worried about other ways to actually, not be able to deal with that. I'm not worried about d4 is not hanging here. Some players saying it's hanging. It's just that if he captures it, certainly, he opens up some lines. But okay, he's isolating his own d pawn. Let's check back on Chess TV chat. What's going on here? We got John HS. Komodo is the highest rated of engines. It's true. Danny can't win against anyone. Iron Mike Griff. Hard stop. You're going to get a hard stop on this video. So far it is 2-0 the Dragon, as Hacklover says. That's right. I'm not worried about him capturing. I didn't get it. It says, what if he captures on f3? I'm not really worried about him capturing on f3. If he takes on f3 and I take, and again, if he captures here, I take with the queen. Knight to c6 comes with tempo on my queen. But I can move the queen. Again, I'm playing for the fact that he's positionally ruining his own structure, right? And small initiative isn't too big of a price to pay. Yeah, Pawn Morphe says Komodo is probably listening to the stream. Yeah, they probably do. Right? I know Mark does. Larry's partner at Komodo. He enjoys listening to the stream. I don't know that Larry. Okay, Dagauer says it was not that sort of comment, just the unbelievable stream. Okay, well, I'm sorry if I was sensitive then. It definitely didn't come across well. That's the problem with text and typing in the modern day and age, is sometimes things don't go over well. But you're right. I mean, the answer is, how do you expect to win when you've lost up a rook? It's impossible. But again, I've won at much smaller odds. So it's not as simple as just you've lost previously, you have no chance. That's the point. It's like these imbalances are really depending on whether or not I'm going to be playing well enough to hold on to them. And again, when tactically you're ready to be punished at a moment's notice, it is hard. It's very hard. You're absolutely right. And I don't have a lot of confidence about this, but sometimes I play better when I don't have a lot of confidence. As we saw, I blundered last game with Queen H4, right? I think sometimes I play better when I'm sort of a little bit down on myself. So that's possible. Servant of One wants to know how Komodo moves. Yeah, so the engine is hooked up to the headquarters there. As we said, Larry Kaufman is operating on a budget that only a secret government agent could afford, as far as the hardware. I mean, I think when people buy, if he doesn't work for the government, he's certainly on that NSA watch list. You know what I'm saying? How all of us joke and pretend like, oh, the NSA is listening, the government is listening, right? Putin's listening. But the truth is, they don't give a bleep about what any of us are doing. But Larry's computer is so strong. If they're not worried about what Larry's up to, anybody who spends more than $5,000 on something that doesn't automatically move itself like a car, right, or doesn't house and protect other human beings, I think those people are automatically added to the NSA's watch list, right? It just seems natural that Larry should be watched closely when he's harboring that sort of supercomputer, in his office. So so there you go. Anyway, yeah, I think Larry, if he doesn't work for the NSA, he's on their watch list for sure. I try to say as many buzzwords in these shows as possible in case the NSA is listening. You try to use the names of foreign leaders, talk about conspiracy stuff, just to make sure they're paying attention. All right, bishop to c5. Okay, first instincts say just develop, play knight to c3, and Bob's your uncle. This position is taking on a much different nature than I thought it was going to be. Honestly, when I took a quick look, I thought I'm going to play d4, he's going to play knight f6, I'm going to play c4, and then I'll play e3 and b4, and I just had this visualization of all my pawns operating together on the queen side. And, Komodo immediately broke up that idea with e5 on move 2, which I didn't think was going to happen at all. So, at the risk of his d-pawn being isolated, for sure. What should I do? Should I play knight to c3? queen to h4 is interesting, right? Knight to c3, queen h4, because I can't move the knight without getting checkmated, so I'd have to play e3. Is that big of a deal? I don't think so. The biggest issue that's happening here is the potential for me to have trouble developing on the king side, right? The line that we're all analyzing, or if we're not, I am, is knight c3, knight f6, and then how do I get this bishop out? So that's worry. That worries me. I want to play e4, right? Knight c3, knight f6, and I want to play e4. And if takes, bishop takes, I'd like to play queen to e2. Knight to b5 is interesting. I mean, it's kind of weird and imbalanced, right? Queen h4 comes in, and you feel like you're getting into a real sharp position here. But it's interesting, obviously, to head to the d6 square, right? I mean, certainly on the radar. Can I get away with knight c3, knight f6, and play f3? Let's just look at it, right? If he castles, I'm going to play e4. He's got queen b6 in a lot of those positions. It just, yeah, that just feels, I wouldn't do that against anybody. It feels really, really unnecessarily risky. But I'm struggling to get my bishop on f1 developed. That's a fact. So I got to figure that out. I have got to figure that out. Come hell or high water, as they say. It's a problem. If knight c3, knight f6, e3, castles. I also have this move knight to b3 here, which is very computerish as well. But it does kind of make the bishop retreat, right? If knight b3 and he backs up, I'm not thrilled about my knight there. Knight to c3, knight to f6. I can put the knight on d5 in some of those positions, which is a little different, to try to hold the center. This is a tough position. That's a fact. This is a tough position. I can play knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5. Castles, and then e3. And I'm trying to play like queen to d2 and castle long. Very risky, but maybe that's the kind of thing I need to go for. Okay, I have a hard time believing I can really regret knight to c3, and I need to play a little faster and take away some of the mystery of what he might do, so I'm not guessing, right? If I'm not guessing, I might have a better chance. So, all right. How's the Russian uncle doing? Good question. I haven't talked to Uncle Sasha too much today, so so I'll let you know if I talk to Uncle Sasha. Danny Illuminati confirm. I told you guys a story where my 5-year-old accused my 11-year-old of being Illuminati. It was just, I don't even know where she got it. It was hilarious. So I love that. I love how Skranky just keeps everybody updated with every single thought and thing he's doing in the chat. It's just my favorite thing that he does. So, anyway, gonna be fun. Let's see how Komodo plays this position. I don't see any reason not to just play knight f6. Komodo really taking his time here. Komodo really taking his time. After knight f6, I just don't know how I'm unwinding my development. And I worry about playing bishop g5 because of moves like queen to b6, which will then fork the b2 pawn and the d4 knight. Right, so if knight f6, bishop g5, queen to b6, which is a fork. So I don't like bishop g5. It makes me dismiss it. Again, I still come back to this move, knight to b3, being a possibility. Okay, he goes knight f6, obviously. Knight b3. If bishop takes f2, king takes, knight g4 check, king e1, it's probably fine. So if knight to b3 is played, and he plays something like bishop b4, I play bishop d2, he castles, I'll play a3, he backs up the bishop, I think. Kind of slowly unwinding. I'm not sure what other ideas I have here. I mean, there's this ultra-aggressive idea of knight b5 and knight d6 that is certainly on the forefront of my thinking, but feels like I need to get developed instead. So b3 comes to mind in that sense as well, getting developed if I'm not happy with the bishop on this diagonal somewhere. But I wonder if I really should make that bishop choose where he wants to go. Something about knight b3 feels right. Like if he goes back to e7, I think I will go bishop g5. If he goes to b6, I have c5. If he goes to b4, okay, now I'll play bishop d2, and I'll play a3, and I'm going to try to unwind further. So let's go for this. Let's see what he wants to do with this bishop. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, if humans could help this one, they would play bishop f2. Because wouldn't it just be fun to see him sack? Who said that? Somebody said, please, bishop d2. Bishop f2, right? Wouldn't that be the best? I don't think bishop f2 is good. I don't think it works. I didn't play it to bait the computer. But if Larry could just take over for a second, play one human move, right? That would be a fun new odds game where the human that you're playing against gets to make like one voluntary blunder for you, like at one point. Just like no other material odds to start. But the human gets to make one move for the computer at one move in the game. And it's the computer's job to avoid them from like making that move, right? That would be funny. All right, I'm going to play bishop to d2. That would be a new odds thing, right? I think that could be interesting, actually. Obviously, as the human, you would want to wait for the opportunity to have them, like, you know, give up the queen for a pawn or something, right? That would be the key. And the engine isn't allowed to know that they have to lose control at least one point, right? That's the human operator. So I like that. That could be funny. Anyway, that's an interesting idea. Future idea for not material odds, but man versus machine. The human gets to choose one decision for the computer at one point in the game. Komodo does know how to pin it and win it, Mick the Pick. By the way, what is that name, Mick the Pick? Like, can you explain it in a way that is, in a way that's PG, hopefully? Hallelujah, Cat. What's up, dog? What's up, dog? Yeah, Borkro says, Danny's creating new versions of how to play this game because he's losing. That's exactly right. But, you know, I like to think I'm putting entertainment first, but who knows? I'm probably putting, you know, true self-reflection second, that's for sure, right? Don't tell me to take a look in the mirror. right? So enjoying everybody being here. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for everybody who's here supporting the show. Really appreciate it. I think I've only offended one member so far. That's good to know. I mean, maybe. Maybe only one. At least one. I sense a little bit of sarcasm from Sideagasm about my English accent. A little bit of sarcasm, maybe. But who knows? All right, so he castles. Expected. The question for me is, do I want to play a3? Or do I just follow forward with e3? Somebody's calling Maselli. Hold up, Maselli's blowing up. I muted it. Don't you worry. That would give me a forfeit in FIDE rules, right? Thank God these are Chess.com rules. I thought about e4. Obviously, I have this idea that if he takes with the discovery, I've got this attack here. But the problem is he can take with the bishop first and then capture. So that's a no-go. E3 is possible, but after rook to e8, again, if I develop, I've got these same problems that the g2 pawn is falling. At some point, that's worthy of being considered, right? Because if e3, rook e8, bishop d3, if he takes, I gain a tempo, he backs up the bishop. Can I play things like queen to c2 and have an attack on the king side? Certainly would not be Komodo's favorite. He wouldn't recommend playing that way with white. Maybe I can give myself an initiative. I'm probably still better there because I've only given back one pawn. But again, the other option is just ignore these shenanigans and try to castle long and quickly. So what happens on a3? If a3, bishop takes c3, bishop takes c3, there's two moves, knight e4 and d5 that would try to get the bishop. If a3 takes, and knight e4, I can play bishop d4, then he plays knight to c6. He's going to get the bishop pair back, but do I really care? I play f3, he takes on d4, I take with the queen, he moves the knight, I get e4. I actually don't mind that line at all. So if a3 takes, d5 takes, and he takes with the knight that way, there maybe I play queen to d2. I think I'm going to invite this simplification and see what the computer wants. We will see what the computer wants. Yeah, as Pete says, computer and human teams versus computer, the cyborg match, right? We did that before, right? We did Hikaru Nakamura plus Ribka versus the strongest computer, right? Komodo. And Komodo still won. Once the engine becomes better than a previous engine, it's like their knowledge is just, it's like exponentially stronger, like they're playing a new game of chess, right? It's amazing to watch the engines evolve. And as Pete is saying, like, basically human plus computer versus computer is equal as long as the human just drinks coffee and inputs moves, right? The moment the human influences the game is the moment the computer has an edge. And I don't know. I don't know if that's totally true with the equal engine. Remember, Pete, Hikaru had a worse version of Ribka, like not the best version available. Like if you gave a human, if it was like human and stockfish versus Komodo, I actually think human and stockfish can level out there. The thing is, most of the time you would be listening to the engine, but perhaps there is some influence in some positions where you do something a little more dynamic. I don't know. I mean, I know you would say no. I hear you. You would say no, but I think it's interesting though. Again, I think the most interesting material odds is how much more material can we give Danny when it becomes equal, right? That's what we're aiming for. I don't know if that's true, check raise mate. I don't know that it's true that until recently human plus computer could beat computer pretty decisively. Again, I mean, how recently? Like, I don't think that's been the case for a while. As we said, Hikaru Nakamura played a man versus machine match about a year and a half ago. Pete, when was that previous Hikaru Nakamura versus machine match? I did commentary for that, right? And he had Ribka and again, so Ribka's not it wasn't as strong as Komodo, but Hikaru lost that match. So, yeah, I think it's been a while. Okay, that's a move that's a little surprising to me. Putting the bishop on d6. I mean, the first instincts you have are obviously to move the bishop and gain some sort of tempo, right? Move the bishop to e3. And if he plays bishop e5, offer a trade. The problem with bishop e3, I think, is he plays queen to c7. No, he can't play queen to c7. I have knight to b5. So if bishop e3, queen e7, the other move is also knight to b5 here. And depending on where he goes, I play the bishop up to c3. If knight b5, bishop e7, bishop to c3, knight to e4. Knight b5, bishop e7, bishop b4 is interesting. Takes, knight c6, the b4 pawn is hanging. So what should I do? Play bishop to b4? Bishop to g5, I mean. He plays bishop e5, and I play queen to d2. I want to expand in the center. That's what I want. I want to play f3 and e4. f3 and e4. But it's too risky. f3 runs into things like knight h5, and I've got problems on the dark squares. Right? So that's a problem. Still not thrilled with e3. But if I play queen to c2 and he plays rook to e8, nothing spectacular there. I can castle long, though. Queen c2, rook e8, castles long. He has knight to g4. And that's probably good for him, actually. So if queen to c2 and he plays rook e8, I have to make some sort of other move, like f3 again, actually. And if he plays knight h5 there, then I can castle long, actually. If queen c2, rook e8, f3. I know that's I'm playing like a computer. Very weird, but not in a good way, maybe. Queen to c7 there, I can play knight to b5. And why am I trying to get queen c2? Because I want e4. If queen c2, knight c6, I think I play e4. I think. It's tough still, though. Bishop e3 again comes to mind, and if queen to e7, what if I inchworm up? He can just play knight to c6. That's not making me thrilled. So if bishop e3, queen e7, what if I play knight to b5? He plays bishop e5, but then I have bishop c5, actually. Now it's getting real, right? If bishop e3, queen e7, knight b5. If knight e4, I can trade and I get the dark square bishop. If bishop e5, I play bishop c5. He plays d6, I play bishop takes d6. Takes it there, I'll take with the queen. Kind of liking bishop e3. But is there a reason to play bishop e3 versus just knight b5 immediately then? Yes, because if bishop e3 and he voluntarily plays bishop e7, I may not want my knight on b5. Interesting stuff. I like this idea of bishop e3. It feels counterintuitive, right? It's against human principles, and you're always balanced. The one thing the computers challenge us to do as the human race that plays chess is be so much more concrete. Like, it's either good or it's not. It works or it doesn't, and calculate it out. I mean, humans can't play that way as deeply as computers can. We're not seeing at depth 35 in 5 seconds, right? So we have to rely on our principles and our strategical knowledge and our pattern recognition and applying our previous experiences. Humans have to do this, and that's how strong players play chess. But in games like this, I'm challenging myself to do both, right? I'm trying to be principled. Like, I don't want to play bishop e3 because then I'm moving a piece twice, and it feels a little bit against what I want to do. Like, principles tell me, get the queen out, get castled long. I mean, right now I'm struggling to deal with the bishop of the diagonal. That's the most irritating aspect of my position. But then, like, thinking like a computer, I kind of go beyond my principles, and I'm like, I want to be really accurate about this position and not just, let him outplay me. Like, if this is like a super weird way to keep the initiative, against the principled approach, maybe I should do it. Bishop e3. Again, if bishop c7, I have knight to b5, perhaps. Bishop e5, bishop d4, he takes and I take. It doesn't feel right to keep moving my bishop. I should probably be getting castled, and unless I'm getting something really concrete here, I shouldn't go for this. Bishop e3, bishop e5, bishop d... No, bishop e3, bishop e7... Bishop e3, bishop e7. I could maybe play knight d5. Knight takes, pawn takes. If bishop e3, queen e7, I have knight b5. I think I like that line. Bishop e3, bishop c7, I play knight d5 anyway, maybe. Takes and takes. He plays knight a6. I'm feeling like I'm getting less and less concrete stuff, so I should just play queen c2 here. Try to get e4. Queen c2, he plays rook e8. And I'm kind of committed to castling long there. The other move that's interesting is actually bringing this knight back to d4, to be honest. That's a weird move, but another computer move. The knight isn't ideal here. It blocks the b pawn. Also, the other knight coming here, if I bring it here and he goes back here, then perhaps, well, one, I can consider a draw, going back to b3. And two, if knight to d4, and he does some other kind of move, like maybe my knight can come to f3 and then I can get developed here. Seems unlikely, though, because if I... No, it doesn't seem unlikely. If I get my knight to f3, I can play e3. I don't have to fianchetto. Yeah, knight d4 seems like an interesting idea. Why did I ever retreat the knight to begin with? To hit the bishop, right? So now if I bring it back and he plays bishop c5... Yeah, the knight on b3 feels like it's going to become the worst placed piece. And as counterintuitive as it seems, I now feel confident I should fix this matter. How's that for a computer move? How's that, Komodo? Eat your heart out. Eat your heart out. I'm like that guy who comes to the... and I'm ordering a double milk. Right? Eat your bleeping heart out, Komodo. Take that. Come on, humans. Can I get some support here? Can I get some support here? I actually really think knight d4 is a good move. I think it brings the knight back. Now I'm sure there were other good moves too. Bishop e3 started to feel like I was pushing too hard and moving too many pieces twice. The knight on b3 is a Russian schoolboy no-no. And we know what happens. No one wants Uncle Sasha to jump up in this. Right? We don't want Uncle Sasha whipping out the whip. Right? Unless you want to watch me whip. Now watch me nay. And then we dab. I'll give you some support. Here comes some sort of snarky comment. All right. Thanks for giving me some support, everybody. Yeah, I actually agree with Fide Master One Last Breath about my pieces. My pieces are not ideal. That's why I tried to fix them with the knight to d4. For sure. It's hard, right? That's obviously what Komodo's doing. He's getting compensation for the pawns, trying to get the initiative. But if I get my knight to f3, and then I can play e3, and then I can play bishop e2 and get castled, if I can develop, I'm up 2 pawns, right? And that's the point. Thank you, Charlie Boy 336. No, you're the best. No, you are. You are. No, you are. Irregardless. You are. No, you are. Did you castle in any of the games yet? That's from Padalka. I think I castled when I was up the exchange, didn't I? Yeah, I castled. I castled in the first one. Flores says, Danny, you talked before about computers solving chess. What does that mean exactly? I don't know. I mean, I think, well, I mean, it's interesting. So many of you here in the chat are definitely new to chess, right? I was, you may be older than me or the same age as me or younger, but probably most people are newer to chess than I am, right? And, you may not remember kind of around the turn of the century, turn of the millennium when, after Kramnik and Kasparov had their match in London in 2000, Kramnik takes the title. There was just a lot of, that whole time period was full of rhetoric. I mean, the general party line was the computers were close to making chess a draw, and that if everybody followed the same strong computer, they would all have it prepared to a draw. I think over time, guys like Vishy Anand and Carlsen and others proved that computers have added to the creativity of chess. They've revisited lines previously thought to be dubious. People have revisited positions that the computers have helped, change the assessment. So there's a lot, the computers have added to the game. And Vishy Anand and a lot of, people of this generation use computers, in ways that are just amazing with their prep. But I still think there's at some point a general belief the computers are going to solve the game. And once the computers are equal, they're going to be drawing each other. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen. I think it's been amazing. It hasn't happened yet, I guess. If you think about chess as just one big math problem, haven't we solved more complex math problems? Apparently not. Apparently putting a man on the moon is easier than solving chess. Assuming that actually happened and it's not a Russian-American conspiracy. All right, back to chess. So if that happens, my theory was, Chess 960 will take over. There will always be creative chess for human beings to engage in. I'm fully confident of that, and we will always have fun enjoying the game of kings, whether we introduce new variants and things that keep us kind of addicted, but still have the benefits of a game that's very cognitively beneficial and provide critical thinking, challenges for people. I think that's where chess is really great, and people really love the game, and they like to be challenged. So I'm not afraid of the death of chess. You heard it here on Chess TV. Daniel Wrench does not fear the death of chess. I don't think it's possible. And, that's fun and that's cool. And because chess is a game that we think is beneficial for people, I think it's kind of a cool thing. But, I do believe at some point the best computers are going to get closer to solving chess. I don't know what that looks like, but I keep thinking it's probably going to happen. Anyway, I got to focus here, guys. So knight to f5, knight to b5, Chicka boom, chicka bomb, chicka chicka boom boom. Will there be enough room? Also, just bringing the knight back to f3 is the move I kind of want to play, to be honest. But if I do, he may play knight e5. e3 is another move I wouldn't mind playing. Takes, takes, rook e1 check, though. So if I have to take here, and he takes it, and then I play... I don't know. Not exactly sure what I play. Knight f5 is also interesting, by the way. If knight f5 and he moves the bishop here, I think I might be ready for just b4. Bishop takes f2, king takes f2, knight g4 check. I come back, and then what? So knight f5 is interesting. Don't turn your back on knight f5. Knight f5, if he moves the bishop to e5. And let's say I play e4. No, you can take on c3. Okay. So knight f5, bishop e5. I'd have to play like knight e3 or something. Bishop g5 is again interesting here. Maybe even more so than before, so that when I do play e3, my bishop isn't stuck behind the pawn chain. So bishop g5, the question always on bishop g5 is queen to b6 a possibility, right? If bishop g5, queen to b6, I can take f6, he takes, and I can move things like knight to b5 or even knight b3. Knight to b3, I guess. Doesn't seem too devastating. Does feel a little risky, though. I guess the most logical thing to do is to take on c6 and not lose any more time, and then play e3 and try to continue to get developed. Again, I still have this worry about what that bishop is doing to my pawns over here. But I think if knight takes, bishop takes, I can also consider things like e3 and b4 and continue to try to play the position with my king in the center. I know that goes right along the lines of everybody making fun of me for not castling, but but the position is dynamic, and I'm doing my best to do what I think is the most accurate, and I know that goes against some principles, but the real issue is Komodo has made this hard. Komodo's the problem, okay? Not me. Don't tell me I have a problem. I'm your greatest fan, Danny. You're good at playing and commentating. All right, but you spam the chat, so you're going to get banned. Knight takes c6, bishop takes c6, e3. I think I have to. I don't think I can continue to afford to retreat and play passive moves. I think I have to take. So you notice the constant balance, right? It's like I was calculating, but then you eventually have to make an assessment, right? Caden H, are you going to get banned too? Is this like a conspiracy? Conspiracy, let's all get banned at once from the Chess TV chat. Danny, what is your favorite chess opening? Definitely favorite 3. I like playing black. I like playing the Nimzo. I like playing the Sicilian. I like playing those positions as black. Yeah, queen b6 is dangerous. GM Magnus, G Magnus Carlson 15. I mean, not immediately, but it's an idea I've been thinking about the whole time. So, it's interesting so far, for sure. Yeah, if you type the odds thing into the Twitch chat, you get that message right there. Tell you the odds. If you have missed the first 2 shows, they are available full replay here on Twitch in the videos section. They're also available on YouTube. So How do I draw lines and mark it red? I just right-click. Pretty sure anybody can do that when they play on Chess.com, from what I know. If you right-click on the boards, also if you hold down Alt, you can make it blue. If you hold down Control, you can make it green. There you go. Or sorry, Shift, you can make it green. When is that bishop going to get developed? Mick the Pick wants to know in Twitch. I don't know. When are you going to, be, why don't you give me some ideas? Just kidding, you can't. That's against the rules. I don't know when it's going to get developed. I'm working on that, as you see. All right. All right. I don't know why he's taking so long. To me, bishop takes c6 is the only move here. I mean, yeah, I don't know why that took so long. I'm going to quickly play e3. I need to speed up a little bit. I also thought about quickly playing b4, but I felt like I needed to open up the bishop. b4 is also interesting. With the move e3, I commit to keeping the bishop back. But I also open up the queen and stop knight g4. That's one thing I was worried about with b4 is there weird moves like knight g4? I play g3 maybe, and then queen f6. Like if b4, knight g4, h3, he might have had queen h4. So I was worried about some ideas there. I felt like e3 needed to be played to stop some sort of aggressive kingside assault. I mean, he does have two bishops facing the kingside, right? What's that? The crazy Lasker sacrifice? Double bishop Lasker sacrifice? Not going to happen against me, Komodo. You take that stuff back to the lizard playground. Not happening, Komodo. Okay. What is happening is back problems from all of us who work at desk jobs. Ugh. Right. Ugh, that is happening. All right, so if I get the move next, what am I playing? Am I going to play b4? I like b4. It feels good. It's a space advantage. I do have two extra pawns on the queen side. That's kind of the whole point of the position. If he plays a5, I think I'm going to stick my pony on b5. And then I'm not afraid of a6 anymore. And I also open up the c3 square for the bishop. If I get a couple moves, I'm still thinking about queen c2 and castles long, but I don't know what road this should take. I mean, should I play b4, queen to b3, like put the rook on d1 and c1 and play a position with my king in the center? One of the advantages of that is even though, it's weird to not castle, part of the unbalance of this position is, he doesn't have a lot of pawns to try to open up more lines, maybe get at my king. I don't know tactically that I see a ton of issues other than this idea that was coming with knight to g4. So I wonder if even a prophylactic move like h3 is worth it at some point. Okay, well, he's inviting b4. He's calling my bluff. Is he going to play a5? He might play a5. He's also maybe calling my bluff on knight to b5. But I think b4 would be the way to go. If b4, a5, b5, he backs up the bishop. I play h3. Let's say I just play kind of solid chess. And then, because that stops knight g4, so then I can play queen to b3. So the issue with all that stuff is, as natural as that seems, it's also a little risky. Because my king does have nowhere to go officially if I fully expand here. So queen to c2 is the other move that seems like a natural way to defend this pawn and see what he wants to do. If queen c2 and he brings the queen to b6, I mean, I can still play b4 there, and then I'm threatening c5 even, right? All right, play queen to c2. We have to play this game, as what it is. It is a game, everybody. It is a practical game. You have to use the time that's available to you, period. All right. Soul Tigo says, looks like Komodo going to have everything up against the bishop and knight and queen and king. Looks like peace odds for the lizard. I'm giving the lizard piece odds. Yes, Komodo is playing with his food right now. And what did your mama teach you? Don't play with your food. You play with this food, you know what happens? The food bites back. And if that really ever does happen, you should probably take that food back to the store or consider your life choices and where you're at, right? Eating live anything seems, I think I just threw up a little bit. Let's not talk about that. But, okay, you know, if you play with your food, it gets all over the place. And then you have to clean up afterward. That's also something your mom said. Don't play with your food. So Komodo is playing with his food right now. And he's going to regret it. So there you go. Danny, you should play these games blindfolded. No, thank you. One Last Breath says Danny has stabilized better than he expected, but it looks like an uphill battle. No disagreements from this guy. All right, Rookie 8, here we go. So certainly Castles Long is on the agenda, right? But, okay, then you start wondering on Queen E7 and Queen A5, am I going to get checkmated on A3? Probably I should have some way to stop it, but is it ever ideal to castle directly into... is it ever ideal to castle directly into an open file? Not really. Bishop D3 is on the agenda. Sack the pawn, but I don't think so. I feel like I should play H3 and be prophylactic. Why didn't he play Knight G4 last move when I played it? Probably worried about some kind of aggressive Queen F5 or something, but I actually didn't mean to leave Knight G4 open. I guess I kind of lost sight of that when I decided I didn't want to play B4 anymore because of A5. But yeah, Knight G4 I guess is an idea, and it seems dangerous, but maybe not as concrete as Black wants. But okay, what's he threatening? Is he going to put a knight on E4? Possibly, right? So if I play H3 and he plays Knight E4, what am I going to do? If I play H3 and he plays Knight E4, among other things, I have Bishop D3. Because if he takes on D2 and then takes G2, I have Rook to G1. And when he moves his light square bishop, I have Bishop takes H7, winning this guy. Now, in the end of that line, B2 hangs. So things are getting absolutely crazy. But it is possible that's not just like great for him. The other move I want to play is Knight to B5 still. I like this move. Partly because I'm not thrilled about either one of those bishops. I want to make him make a choice. If Knight B5 and he moves the bishop somewhere, can I just go take A7? Hello, right? And then I can bring my knight back to B5. I mean, that's a pawn that Komodo would be proud that I took, right? And if Knight to B5 and he moves if he takes it, I take it. And I feel like that's a successful endeavor. If Knight B5, Bishop E4, Queen to C1, Bishop E5, Bishop C3, A6, takes, Knight comes back, I'm okay. Knight B5, Bishop E5, Bishop C3, Knight E4, takes E5, he takes, Bishop to D3, or actually even just Bishop E2. Knight to B5 keeps coming back in my mind. I got Knight B5 on the mind. Once you get your mind out of the gutter, Dan. LOL. LOL. Knight B5 is also an aggressive move that would prevent me from having to play H3. Knight B5, Bishop F8, Knight takes A7, Bishop E4, Bishop D3, takes G2, I play Rook G1. He backs up the bishop. I play Bishop C3. I feel like I flipped the script on that one. Knight B5, if he backs up the bishop, I think I will just take A7. Knight B5, if Bishop C5, and I play B4. Also feels like possibly worth it. I'm going to go for this. It's a risk it to get the biscuit kind of move. I'm aware, you know. But I can't develop my bishop anyway. I don't want to castle long and put my king directly on the b file. By process of elimination, I feel like I have to do something to disrupt this pressure before I can just complete my development, right? Yep. This is the last and final game. This is the third game. That's what this is. If you've missed the first two, again, they are available live replay. Go to twitch.tv/chess and check out the video archives. I think Skranky says he thinks he totally wrecked me. I don't even know what he's talking about. Wait, is he going to get d5? Is that the idea? I thought I had bishop c3 here. But now I'm wondering if he has d5. Maybe this is his idea. I'm going to go for this. This is my idea. Try to trade off some stuff. Relieve some pressure. If d5, I think I'm going to play knight d4. d5, knight d4. Because if he takes, I take. And I've got the bishop pair. And nice dark square bishop. If he takes c4, I take here. If he backs up the bishop, I play c5 and keep the center closed. At least that was my thought. He can play knight e4 there. That's kind of a problem. Oh, wow. Wow. I did not see that coming. Wow, this is a mess. Is he really going to take on e3 and go for an attack? Looks like he will. If bishop e2, bishop takes c3, queen takes c3. Bishop takes g2, rook to g1. That's okay for me. Bishop e2, bishop takes c3. Bishop takes c3, queen takes c3. Queen h4, I can take. Or queen h4, I guess I can actually. Actually, that's a problem for me. Wow. Castle's long. I can castle long. My queen does guard f2. No, I can't. He can take here. And after I take, he takes here. And I have to stick with the pawn. Because if I take with the queen, he has rook c8. If I take e5, and he takes, and I play knight to d4. The other move is also knight to d4 again, right away. We talked about this. If he takes e3, I take. He plays queen h4, check. I can play queen f2, can I? Knight d4, bishop takes, bishop takes. Knight d4, bishop takes, queen h4. Crazy talk. Crazy talk. If I take e5 and he takes with the rook, and then I play knight to d4, hitting the bishop, and he plays queen a5 check, that's an idea he has there. I can play queen c3, trade into the endgame, double pawns. But maybe that's my best. Bishop takes e5, rook takes, knight to d4. If he moves the bishop, I was going to play knight f3. That was my idea. If bishop takes, rook takes, what if I just play h3? He takes e3 and I take. He takes with check and I move my king up. I mean, is that for real? Komodo, can you really do that? You gotta be kidding me. Bishop takes, rook takes, h3, knight takes, e3 takes, rook takes. Like, I can also run to like d1. I don't feel like I'm getting checkmated right away. I mean, I can't be scared of a ghost. I either see the mate or I don't. It's either there or it's not. So maybe it's there, but I'm not going to scare myself to see ghosts. I feel like I have to simplify this. And if rook takes h3, if rook takes e5, h3, he has queen h4. Okay, that's a problem, right? Yeah, that's a problem. So that's something I can't do. So if rook takes e5, I'm back to my knight d4 idea. I don't think he can just take everything here. I don't think I'm getting mated there. I think the key is he has queen a5 check. And then if queen d2, he takes and takes here with check. And then on king to c3, he can take f2, and he's just winning in the endgame. So I think if rook takes e5, if I play knight d4, queen a5 check, I have to be prepared for queen to c3. Takes, double isolates my pawns, and I have the knight on d4. He can then play rook to b2, but my thought was I could trade on c6 and play bishop e2. No, he can take on e3 and then play rook takes e3, and he gets my bishop. Oh, the problem with calculating well and deeply is all you do is realize that the end is near. That's the problem. It's almost better to be ignorant about the direction of the position, right? Ignorance is bliss. Oh, man. Okay, so what are my best chances here? I need to try to unwind. I'm not dead, you know? I don't think so. I mean, queen to c3 is possible. He has queen h4 on queen to c3. h3, queen h4 is a real problem, right? Seems that way. g3, he moves the queen, and my rook is hanging on h1. It's amazing that I can't even go to the endgame, and that's how active his pieces are. Yeah, knight to b5 was not so good, was it? I was doing okay before that, maybe. Oh, it was hard. I couldn't get developed. Yeah. So maybe I have to go to this endgame and try to hold a draw. I really don't want to get blinked here. Time for some mental toughness, but only 13 minutes on the clock. This is such a hard position. I feel like I have no moves. Knight d4, queen a5 check. Queen to c3. Takes, and plays rook to b2. Insane. I can play bishop e2 there. And I'm not lost just yet. If knight d4, queen a5 check, queen c3, he can also play rook takes b2, because when I take his queen, he can take back. In that position, again, I guess I want to play. I want to play bishop e2. That's what I want to play. Hit the knight, and when he moves to e5, castle. Holding, barely. All right, I feel like I have to go for this, hoping I'm not missing some other sort of crazy idea. It seems like queen a5 check is the main candidate move here, because without something concrete, you can't just go to sack town here. So again, queen a5 check, queen c3 has two moves. He can trade and then play rook b2. He remains down 2 pawns, but my pawns are doubled, and he's got all kinds of threats. But I'm going to play bishop e2 there. Hopefully I can trade and unwind and equalize the position out. If he plays rook takes b2, then I can take on a5 and then also play bishop e2. Similar. Trying to unwind and get castled before move 20, right? Just like you tell your kids. Follow chess principles that you see on Chess TV, everybody. Leave your king in the center, don't get developed, and try to get castled before move 20. You heard it here, everybody. Infomercial for chess. You can do it. This is gonna be fun. Oh, he goes queen h4 instead of queen a5. What did we say about this? I thought that this wasn't... Why did I think this wasn't just winning for him? Why did I think that? What was I thinking in this line? He's starting to take e3. I can't castle long because of f2. I can play g3, right? And then when he moves, I can take the bishop. Whenever the computer plays a move you weren't expecting, that's when you really have problems. G3. He retreats. And I'm going to take on c6. He's going to take with the queen. Oh. G3, queen f6, takes. He takes with the queen. I just didn't go deep enough, huh? I have to play rook to g1. It's the only move. And then he can take h2. At least I can castle long there. Is it just game over? I don't understand. Clearly I'm missing something. Oh, he has knight takes e3 here. Oh man. That's such a computer combination. I was dealing with the more direct threats on the rook, but he has knight takes e3, and when I take here, he takes here with double check. And when I move, he just wins a piece, or the rook. And if knight takes e3, I have to take with the pawn. And then he has queen takes d4, and the pawn is pinned. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Like one of those Family Guy episodes where the same thing just goes on and on over and over again. Yep. Yep. Right? You think it's a GIF, but it's just the person actually saying yep over and over again. Oh man, it's rough. It is rough. The life of getting blanked by Komodo. Thug life. It's a thug life. Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least tomorrow other people play chess. Tune in for the Speed Chess Championship. We got Nepo versus Aronian tomorrow. It's going to be real. Wow. I got crushed. Where did I go wrong, really wrong? I still felt like things were going okay here. I should have played h3, huh? That was one of my instincts, was to play h3. Also, a little earlier, I wanted to get h3 in. I mean, we know the position still has plenty of play, and by all practical assessments, I would probably go on to lose as well. But just, you can't have that approach. You have to try to learn from your mistakes and do the best you can at your own level of understanding, right? And, I'm just trying to come back and see what I did wrong. I mean, I knew knight g4 was a problem, and I was anticipating that these threats were going to be nasty, but I guess, you know what, it's one of those things where I overestimated the importance of trading off this dark square bishop. I felt like once the bishops were traded, I was going to be fine, right? Like once those bishops are off, there's no way I'm going to have dark square problems, right? That's sort of like, again, the way a human thinks about it, and it's just not true, right? He plays knight g4 anyway, and the dark square problems are only just beginning. Here comes the queen into h4, and I'm just like, lights out, right? So I think that, one, I was overestimating how much easier my position would be if I could eliminate one of these bishops. And so probably I should have accepted that the activity is rough here. I need to play something like h3. Before that, I felt like I was okay, right? And I should probably take a quick look, at the Chess.com Stockfish engine, just get an idea of what another engine thinks now that the game is over. But it was definitely kind of instructive to see how much I overestimated the need to eliminate this bishop, and how Komodo just taught me a very valuable lesson. He didn't need that dark square bishop. This was the idea I just missed. I mean, I just missed that idea straight up, and that's where the real problems are shown. So I will take here, and he will be taking on d4, and I can resign. As soon as he takes on d4, he is threatening rook takes b2, rook takes e3, and bishop takes on h1. With a little slam, bam, jam, and the game is over. So, all right, well, instructive stuff. Yet another miniature. Komodo really bringing the hurt. Feels like I lost. I don't know what else to say, right? I was like, it feels like, I don't know. Mom always said, right? I don't know. I mean, it sounds pretty rough. Yeah, it feels bad, man. Feels bad. That's the way Queen H4 should be played, Danny. That's right. Yeah, very funny. That's Dayblocks. Dayblocks bringing. At least I know you watched both games. Okay, Dayblocks. That makes me happy, even though you're reminding me of yet another mistake I made. Right. But I should shave my head as punishment for losing to the strongest chess engine ever. How about no, Scott? Okay. How about no? That doesn't seem like a very good use of my time. Yeah. Anyway, fun. Thanks everybody for being here. This has been fun. I mean, believe it or not, I know it's fun. Maybe more fun when I'm doing bullet brawls, or if I'm happy that I'm winning a bunch of games or something. I don't know, but I think this is interesting and instructive, and I don't mind losing. It's just harder for me to this is intense chess thinking only to get crushed, right? And it's hard. And I should have, certainly I like to think if I played these odds again with the lessons I've learned that I would score better. I really do. I mean, obviously, if I had the second game this morning back, without the blunder there, I think that position has a lot of life left in it. And knowing that I've already drawn Komodo with just an F7 pawn odd, okay, not quite the Komodo that's as strong as Larry's Komodo hooked up to his, to the center of the universe. He's basically got an infinity stone running his engine. Larry Kaufman has an infinity stone running his Komodo at his house. That's. Do you need to know anything else? Which infinity stone? Obviously the Mind Stone. So basically it's hard to compete with Komodo hooked up to an infinity stone. No, but seriously, I think I would perform a little better. Getting those exact odds again, but I think you got to practice them, and probably I should have practiced them as well, right? I should have practiced some of these positions in a little more detail, but okay, that's not what we're doing here. It's anyway, it's interesting. I think this game was kind of an instructive quick attack launch with knight g4 that I just underestimated, and also depending on how we look back at how I approached that opening against e5, I was surprised by e5. I wasn't mentally ready to play a position like that, which is my own mistake. Perhaps with the bishop on b7, I should also be doing something different, like knight f3, preventing e5. Honestly, it looks like makes a lot of sense to play knight f3 there. But okay, again, it's just another way the game could have gone. Still plenty of play, and hard to say that anything is hard to say what's going to happen. So, Danny, you can still win on time. I don't think that's going to happen. Thanks for the vote of confidence, though. Danny, come to Israel. I've thought about it. I do want to visit Israel at some point. I didn't get it. Says, I don't understand why you have to play Komodo to get crushed, as if Stockfish isn't hard enough. I don't know, right? I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Stockfish is plenty hard. Certainly it is. Infinity Stone. That's a you problem, Danny. I don't even know what even that means. Maybe that's maybe you're not a Marvel Comics fan or something, Hack Lover. I don't know. Anyway, so this is a great combination. Queen takes d4, and I can resign. The rook is hanging. e3 is hanging. b2 is hanging. It is red rover. Again, combination that started here. Knight to g4. My overestimation of the dark square bishop and just getting killed. So not super hard to see in hindsight, especially. But okay, I shall resign. I'm going to grab the PGN quickly because it's something I like to do, and head over to Chess.com analysis because I would like to see what's going on in that game. I would like to see what's going on here. So let's see here. So already here after bishop b7, I played c4, maybe knight f3, but we're not going to spend too much time on that because, who knows. And he plays e5 and immediately striking back. I think he's already doing better, actually, as soon as he plays that. So let's see. So I played knight f3, which I think is okay. Not sure who's calling me. My celly's blowing up again. Silence that. So he played e takes, knight takes, and then bishop to c5. So the computer apparently doesn't like knight f3, huh? Well, I'm gonna get to something a little more critical. I'm gonna get to this position and start to see if knight to b3 is just really just totally wrong. It is amongst the top 3 moves the computer is thinking about, so that's slightly encouraging. So let's go forward and say I'm not blundering or blowing the advantage yet. Like, I don't want to overthink this because I feel like there was still some merit behind my approach, and the advantage is still obviously there. He castles, I play a3, and he plays bishop d6. So, yeah, I mean, I actually was thinking in hindsight, I wonder if like an ultra-aggressive approach, but I think that is just a bad idea. I think Stockfish is a little weak there. So obviously I played knight back to d4, and that's not even on the radar, and maybe in hindsight, again, I really like this idea of bringing the knight to f3. Perhaps it is too much time wasted. Usually the move you fall in love with is not good. So e3, but okay, like what if e3 and just rook e8? How am I getting developed here? How am I dealing with the g2 pawn? I feel like this is tough, and if I play queen to c2, try to play some natural moves, at some point I was still worried about this stuff. So how bad was knight to d4? Let's see. Knight to c6. And then there's these other moves to consider besides what I did. Knight f5 just seems absolutely crazy. That's computer chess for you. So after knight takes, bishop takes, I'm already getting in trouble, huh? The valuation is slowly creeping down. I play e3, he plays rook to b8. Queen to c2. Again, I thought knight g4 would have been played right away. But rook e8 really prepares all these tactics to be really strong on e3. And that's when I really mess things up. Probably my last chance is to risk it, castle long, or play b4. Oops, play b4, do something else besides knight to b5. But after knight to b5, because after bishop e5, I pretty much have to play bishop e5. I have to play bishop to c3. Right, it just feels like the b2 pawn is just too dangerous, and a6 and all this stuff. So I play bishop c3, and then, you know, here comes knight to g4. Stockfish doesn't even see it. Let's see how long it takes for Stockfish to see. Okay, not that long. And Komodo did think for like 5 minutes. So I think if you give them the same amount of time, the Chess.com Stockfish analysis is probably, you know, I mean, there's going to be very few positions they disagree about if they have the same amount of time. With 45 minutes, obviously Komodo was thinking here, and Komodo's really able to develop the line. You know, and so knight to g4 does come into play, and I am in trouble, but not totally dead. You see the horizon effect there? You see how he was considering bishop e5 and then knight g4 and then drop the whole line, which is what I played because it saw the loss just like Komodo did. So takes e5 and then bishop e2 was like my last chance. No, it's not, because he can take here. What's going on here? How can he do this? Queen g5? Wow, this would have been a psycho way to lose. I did not see this idea coming either. It's just this is going to be super tough here. Wow. So obviously we already know how the game went with knight to d4, but I think I'm probably losing here, if those are the kind of lines that are coming. Queen h4, and it's Red Rover, as we saw. So assessment on what we did. I mean, I think probably knight f3 in hindsight, stopping e5 makes a little more sense. You know, I guess the computer thinks that, you know, other moves are slightly better chances for an edge, but the position is probably going okay here until the knight came back to d4. I thought I was going to be able to get the knight to f3. That's the thing. So like after knight d4, knight c6, the reason I can't just play knight f3 is I think he goes knight e5. Yeah, so that was what I was thinking too, is that he would play knight e5, and then I pretty much have to take anyway, right? So if that's the case, like, I didn't want to go for something like this. That's why I took on c6. So one thing leads to another, and I'm just not getting developed in time, and getting crushed, you know. I mean, this is why we're here, is to get killed by the Komodo engine, right? That's why we do what we do. Everybody dreams of getting crushed by Komodo, right? Isn't that every young chess player's fantasy, right? Just like every young astronaut's fantasy is to be on the moon. Wait, is that a thing? I don't even know. But anyway, a lot of fun. Requests coming in to play right now. Not going to do it. Not going to play right now. We got this guy needs to get some rest. We got a long day ahead of us tomorrow. All of you are going to be there. If I don't see every single one of these usernames in the chat, I'm going to come after you. Okay. We got Nepomniachtchi versus Levon Aronian. It's going down. It's going to be so much fun. So be there, and don't be square. Tomorrow is the Speed Chess Championship. Continuing on, we have Levon Aronian versus Ian Nepomniachtchi. I should have had like a trailer or something ready for it in today. Komodo used an engine to beat me. Komodo cheated. That's hilarious. Bad news 757 on Twitch says that. Yeah. Anyway, so that was interesting stuff. I really enjoyed this show. Thanks for the support. Sorry I let Team Humanity down. I got blanked. I put up a goose egg, big fat donut, a big L7 weenie right across my forehead, right? The games were almost interesting. The first one was for sure. So I like to think we'll do this again soon, right? Larry says I can pretty much probably do these matches anytime. Maybe we'll mix them up slightly, but kind of go for things that are similar, just so Larry's not worried that I practiced that position a million times, because he's always protecting the computer's chances against the human. That's Larry's job, is to make sure that, you know, artificial intelligence has its chance to become self-aware at some point in the future. Let's... No, I don't think drawing is too much to ask, and I think Simon beat him with the f-pawn odds, with the attack, and I think I had a good position. I think I had a perfect start until I blundered queen h4. So I don't think it's impossible. I think it's just a matter of you got to have your A game. You got to be playing well. You have to be playing really well, and that's it. The computer's always playing the same, right? And that's the exhausting part of it. So computer doesn't get tired in round 3. You know what I'm saying? All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. Appreciate the love and support. See you around. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning for the Speed Chess Championship, and we'll catch you out. Apparently, begging for my life was not enough, but we'll remind everybody that I did just that before going 0-3 against the world's strongest chess engine. Peace out, everybody.